So if you have not seen it, I think it is important for you to see. Jill Stein and Butch Ware had an interview at the Breakfast Club. And unlike its other interviews that they've had with presidential candidates, they decided to go extra hard at Jill Stein and Butch Ware. It was downright, offensive and unprofessional from what I saw. And I'm not just saying that because I support Jill Stein. I'm saying that because I have watched them interview other presidential candidates. They didn't treat Nikki Haley like that. They were nicer to Nikki Haley than they were to Jill Stein. So take that in and do with that whatever you want. So Jill Stein and Butch Ware went on to the Breakfast Club, and they really had to school Charlemagne the God and Angela Rye, because I don't think they were ready for this. I don't think they were ready for people to come on there and really tell them what it means to organize and what it means to be able to build community off of grassroots base and not rely on big money. To be able to talk about what blackness actually means and not just say, I'm a black female and I'm running for president. You see, I don't think they were ready for all of this. And I don't think they knew too much about Butch Ware, to be honest, because he was really dropping some knowledge. I'm going to start with one of the clips that he has here. Trip Fontaine said, "This almost made me cry, because this is the rage I feel right now. Straight up, the good majority of Negroes I see going up for this election are genuinely lost. To allow blackness to be weaponized again is crazy." Let me show you what he's talking about here, because Butch really took it home.
I am personally offended by the way that blackness is being weaponized in this electoral cycle in order to justify white supremacist genocide in Gaza.
Expound.
Please, yeah.
Malcolm said of Zionism, of the Zionist state, the Israeli state, he said that this is a white Jewish population, the Ashkenazi population, being given power by white imperialists to remove brown Arabs from their land. He said, so therefore Zionism is white supremacy. In 1979, Open Letter to the Born Again, James Baldwin said the same thing. He said the state of Israel was not created for the salvation of the Jews. It was created for the salvation of Western interests. When you go through Kwame Ture, Malcolm X, James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, Angela Davis, Assata Shakur, these are all people that cited the Palestinian resistance movement, not even to bring in the Africans, right? Not to mention Nelson Mandela, not to mention Thomas Sankara, who talked about Zionism as being the face of imperialism in the Middle East, right? This is what the Black radical tradition taught me. And the Black radical tradition taught me that if we weaponize our blackness in favor of white supremacy, then we become apostates from blackness itself, because blackness is not a race. It is an oppositional ideology to white supremacy. I'm a historian of Africa by training. Never before in human history had people speaking hundreds of different languages made themselves into one people, developed a common culture so that you and I can relate to one another. You and I can relate to one another on the basis of a shared culture. And we got our Latin and Caribbean brothers and sisters, especially Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, but also, more broadly, right, that share in that culture. That is a miracle. It's never happened before in human history, because what happened is that an oppositional identity to white supremacy came into being, and that is us. And when I see that identity now being weaponized to justify the most heinous genocide in our time, like Harriet Tubman is rolling over in her grave right now. Sojourner Truth is rolling over in her grave right now. Bell Hooks is rolling over in her grave right now. Who did I miss? Do you know what I'm saying? The idea that we would weaponize something as sacred as black womanhood and then utilize this to justify blowing up Palestinian kids.
I think he told them, he had to check them, because they wanted to use, if you haven't seen the full interview, when you get a chance, please watch it. They wanted to use Kamala Harris's race and identity as a reason as to why you should not criticize her, or they shouldn't criticize her. The criticisms that they had of Kamala Harris were very much valid. And that's not enough for people nowadays. We went through that with Barack Obama, and they wanted to use that. That's good enough. That's good enough. The fact that, well, she's black woman, which we can argue the black thing, So don't you dare put some respect on her. Put some respect on her, right? So that was one from Butch trying to school them, because it's true. The excuses that they were trying to make for Kamala Harris, every time that Butch and Jill brought up the genocide, what's happening in Gaza, they kept trying to interrupt. Well, don't you think Kamala is going to try to do something for those people and da-da-da? You got to understand, these people are DNC shills. And Charlemagne, don't let me get started on you, because Charlemagne used to work on the radio when I lived in Columbia, South Carolina, when I went to the University of South Carolina. Charlemagne came from local radio. Charlemagne knows better. Don't let these people fool you. It's amazing how people change once they come up. And I've seen some change. So they wanted to use that to basically push back and say, oh no, well, why don't you let her get in here and give her a chance and see what she will do? You know, this woman said, blank to your face, told you she will not stop Israel from being able to defend itself, and she will not withhold weapons from Israel. Now, all of a sudden, everybody in the room wanted to play dumb. So let's take it to another point. This part right here. So shout out to DAP ADOS tribe. He was really he was knocking him out the park today. This part of the Jill Stein interview on the Breakfast Club definitely caught my attention. Now, I want to show you guys this part right here. One of the things they tried to do is they tried to bring up the Kremlin talking points. Angela Rye tried to say, well, you were sitting at a table with Vladimir Putin. These things have been debunked. Like, Jill has explained this over and over and over again. So when they couldn't get back at Butch and Jill for the things that you just heard him say, when they couldn't really respond to that, then they tried to go with the Russiagate talking points. That's how sad and low and pathetic that Angela and Charlemagne were willing to stoop. And like I said, I've never seen them speak to anybody else that was a presidential candidate on that show. The way that they spoke to Jill and Butch, they came out swinging, very angry, tense, and it was just an awkward, hostile environment. But Butch and Jill remained calm throughout it all. Watch this with the Kremlin stuff. Watch.
The question that was raised there was, did Russian social media have an impact? And was I, a beneficiary of that? And the Senate...
But they said you repeatedly parroted Kremlin views and posted a campaign video.
You know what they
from
consider
Moscow's
a
Red
Kremlin
Square.
view? They consider reparations a Kremlin view.
Oh.
They consider
They
the civil rights movement actually a
Yep.
Kremlin view.
Yep.
They consider racial disparities a Kremlin view.
Those are Kremlin
So
talking
these
points,
are
according to
these
them.
are these are Department of Defense talking points, and these.
Let's go back, because I want you to see the look on Angela's face. This is all going to be important. Pay attention to this conversation here about what is considered to be a Kremlin view.
The question that was raised there was, did Russian social media have an impact? And was I, a beneficiary of that? And the Senate...
But they said you repeatedly parroted Kremlin views and posted a
well,
campaign
you know
video
what they
from
consider
Moscow's
a
Red
Kremlin
Square.
view? They
Look at the look on her face. That was her whole mood. During the interview, that was her whole mood. And this comment that Jill's about to make here applies actually towards Angela. I'll show you in just a second.
consider reparations a Kremlin view.
Oh.
They consider
They do.
the civil rights movement actually a
Yep.
Kremlin view.
Yep.
They consider racial disparities a Kremlin view.
Those are Kremlin
So
talking
these
points,
are
according to
these
them.
are these are Department of Defense talking points, and these are unfortunately the DNC talking points as well, which repeatedly tries to smear me as a Russian agent,
They
even
called
though
you a
it has
useful
been
idiot.
Yes, and this has
Ain't
been
no
very
idiots in this room, man.
specifically
Yeah, I
Let's
agree.
just be blunt about that.
found lacking. And the report, get this, the report that was initially used to supposedly show that Russians had a social media campaign supporting me, that was written by a cybersecurity firm called the New Knowledge Corporation. New Knowledge had to disband shortly after publishing that because they were exposed for conducting an interference campaign themselves in the 2017 Senate election in Alabama. And how did they do that? They pretended to be a Russian influence campaign on social media. So they did exactly what they have accused the Russians of doing. They actually did, and put it under the false guise of being a Russian interference campaign.
So you see, that's what they tried to use against them next. Oh, you sat at the table and with Vladimir Putin and da da da. Now, here's what's interesting about what Jill said there about the Kremlin talking points. It's time to dive into Angela Rye. I didn't know this. So again, shout out to DAP, Ados Tribe, and Yvette Carnell and all of you that tagged me because I didn't know. Did you guys know how ironic it was that Angela Rye was a part of the Jill Stein Breakfast Club interview? Look at this, what he shared here. Black critics of Kamala Harris and Cory Booker push back against claims that they're Russian bots. Angela Rye and Joy Reid have speculated that American descendants of slaves using the hashtag ADOS to critique Harris and Booker are Russian bots. That was February 13th, 2019. She been doing this, fam. That's her right there. She been doing this, fam. What? She been doing this, fam. She was doing this in 2019. So when Jill said, you know what else is a Kremlin talking point? Reparations. Whoa, she ain't like that. Did not like it. And so I'll show you where she was saying that. I said, no wonder Angela Rye folded her arms when Jill Stein mentioned reparations. This woman accused ADOS of being Russian bots. Oh, honey, the tea is hot with this one. And it is. I told you we were going to have some fun tonight. The tea is hot. So shout out to Yvette Carnell because she shared this video with me. Don't believe me? Listen to her say it yourself.
You just clearly don't pay attention, that's fine. But the challenge I have now is if you follow the narrative, it is very much about we can only talk about reparations and issues specific to Black Americans who are not immigrants because when other people come here, they're not looking out for our best interests. Number one, that's an overgeneralization. Number two, it's dangerous. I believe that it was paid for by Russia. And I'm not saying not that everyone who uses that hashtag now is a Russian bot, but I believe it originated from Russian bots in the same way that some of the stuff around the crime bill happened in 2016. There were some lower speeches, clearly.
So this was Angela Rye speaking to a room of people, telling people that ADOS, this was all, they were being paid by Russia and that they were Russian bots. This is Angela Rye saying that. And the same woman just happens to be sitting in the room to interview Jill Stein and wants to bring up, oh, you sat at the table across from Vladimir Putin. First, she lied and said you sat right next to him. She didn't sit right next to him. He was at the table across from her and she never even got the chance to speak to him. She's talked about this multiple times. She was investigated about this and she was cleared of any wrongdoing. So you got Angela Rye here. Look, all Black folk. No. Black faces in high places. And we're going to talk about these high places. Actively working against an organization that is trying to push for reparations for American descendants of slaves. That's what she was doing. And she's mad. She big mad. She folded her arms in the interview. She's really upset because her candidate and her friend, Kamala Harris, has no freaking Black agenda. None. She wants to focus on the way that people want to pronounce Kamala Harris's name. I call BS on that. People mispronounce my name all the time. Do you see me getting mad and screaming and like, oh, it's Sabrina, not Serena. It's Sabrina, not Selena. People mispronounce it all the time. She wanted to put more focus and frustration and anger about the mispronunciation of Kamala's name than she was to get angry about what Jill Stein was saying to her about what the Democratic Party has been doing to third-party candidates. She was more angry about Kamala's name than she was about the genocide in Gaza. She was more angry at Kamala's name than she was about the fact that Kamala has no Black agenda, no reparations plan. She was more concerned about that. But then you got to know where this woman comes from. Angela Rye. Angela Rye comes right from Capitol Hill. She worked with the Congressional Black Caucus, another damn group of Black faces in high places that don't do shit. She worked with them. How many of you knew that? She comes right from the Hill. How you think she get to be in all these little spaces? She's just another DNC shill spewing DNC propaganda, calling Black organizations Russian propagandists, saying that these people were paid by Russia. That's why she's in those spaces. She starts off the interview telling them, Kamala Harris, I know her. And she's interviewing, of course you know her, son. Of course you know her. You're in the right spaces. So Angela's job going into this interview was to ruin Jill Stein and to push up and protect her friend Kamala Harris. Everyone needs to understand that. She didn't like it too much because Jill Stein had to tell her she had white supremacy talking points, and she did. Let's listen.
Either you win or lose this election. There's really no in between. Dr. Stein, in 2002, you ran for governor of Massachusetts and you lost. In 2004, you ran for state representative in Massachusetts and you lost. In 2006, you ran for secretary of the Commonwealth. You also lost. In 2010, you ran for governor again, this time against the first Black governor in Massachusetts, Deval Patrick. You lost. In 2012, you ran against this country's first Black president and you got just less than 0.5% of total votes cast. In 2016, you ran against Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, losing significantly with 1.4 million votes cast for you, but 0 electoral college votes, which I agree with y'all needs to be abolished. But 136 million people voted. And you lost that election as well. So I want to know what the pathway to victory is for you in 2024. It can't just be.
I'd like to provide.
So notice that Angela Rye didn't mention any of the races that Jill Stein won. So Jill Stein has served in local office before. Notice she didn't mention those, right? Notice she had to swoop in there. You ran for governor against the Black governor. Governor Deval Patrick didn't do a damn thing for Black people here, okay? Let's stop applauding these people just because it's a Black face in a high place. Governor Deval Patrick didn't do anything for Black people here in Massachusetts. He stood over in his little corner in Milton, Massachusetts, and hung out with the bougie white folk. Let's just keep it real, son. But let me let her finish.
A different
not
phrase.
Shut your mouth. Watch your fucking mouth.
I want to provide.
And I also
Can I respond, please? May I respond? May I respond?
Go ahead, Angela. Go ahead.
Well, I would like to respond.
Yes.
This is the framing of the empire and the oligarchy and white supremacy and colonialism, which wants you to feel that resistance is futile. This is about voter blaming and voter shaping.
Let me just
respond. You had plenty of time
no.
to.
What you're not going to say is that I'm ever parodying anything at the hands of white supremacy. This is something that's very different. This is me asking you again. It's a binary
Well, I'm
choice
just
in an
pointing
election.
out that these
It is
are the
either a
talking
win or a
points.
lie. No, it's
These
not
are
a
the
talking
same
point.
talking points
No,
that the
I didn't get my
DNC
talking.
uses.
This is.
Yes, she does. She uses the same talking points as the DNC, but let me go ahead and say something here. First of all, it is not fair to compare a grassroots campaign to a campaign, and particularly a grassroots party, to a party that has millions of dollars and is backed by Wall Street and the military industrial complex. You can't even put them on the same footing. You can't. So everyone needs to understand that the Green Party is a grassroots party. The Democratic Party is not. The Republican Party is not. That's like, should I make the comparison now or later? I'll make it now and later. That's like saying, let's put it this way. That's like saying you have a student that's at a public high school and you have a student at a private school, private high school. So public, private. That's like going to the student at the public university and telling them, how dare you not succeed? You have been in school for 4 years, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. How dare you not prevail? How dare your grades, how dare your GPA not be higher than the kid at the private university? Obviously, the side that has more funds and resources has a better chance of succeeding. You know, it's just common fucking sense. But that's not Angela's job. Angela's job is to parrot those DNC talking points.
Not DNC talking points. This is my research. And sadly for you, the research says you have never won an election. You have been successful in pushing forward certain agendas as an advocate, but you have never won an election as a candidate.
We are the one
is that a
party.
winning strategy?
So in order to win, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And in this case, it's many steps. Let me point out, please, you need to compare the Green Party, not with those who are taking money from AIPAC and the War Machine and Wall Street. You've got to compare us, you have to compare us to other grassroots, non-corporate.
So do you see how rude she was? And by the way, it started out this way. If you watch the full interview, she had that attitude. She came in like hostile. She came in ready to fight from the very beginning. But yeah, you are parroting white supremacist talking points, Angela. This is one of the most effective tools of white supremacy, is to get someone with the black face to do it for you. That's Angela Rye. That's Charlemagne the God. Just because they host a show called The Breakfast Club and they talk about hip hop doesn't mean that they're not pushing white supremacy from time to time when the Democratic Party tells them to, God damn it. That's Barack Obama. That's Kamala Harris. That's Jim Clyburn. Don't be twisted. They get people like them to do it for them. And she'll go along with it because she wants the money and she wants to be noticed. You want a lot of attention, Angela. You got a lot of attention today and yesterday. You wanted that attention, so now you got it.
She said I was parroting the talking points of a white supremacy.
See, that was my disappointment.
May I finish, please?
Like
May I get to my point? May I please get to my
Dr. Stein and Angela Rye close it out.
Let me finish, please. Thank you. You're trying.
You see this? So that's the end of the clip. But you see this? She was doing that before the white supremacist comment. Because the reality is this did not go the way that Angela wanted it to, because she called your ass out, which other people should have done. You guys have had Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, Candace Owens, all these other people that are conservatives come on to the Breakfast Club, and you never treated them the way that you treated Jill Stein and Butch Ware. This was an attack from the get-go. And that was the assignment that they had. Go in and attack them and destroy their campaign. Now, you guys may be wondering, why would they even have to do that? If people are saying it's not a serious campaign, why would they even have to do that? We'll show you in just a second. But Ados Tribe said it again. Angela Rye was pissed when Jill Stein said she was using white supremacist talking points. Oh my God, it was just cracking me up. And then I want to show you this part here, the resistance. So he said, I'm not a Jill Stein fan like that, but this was the moment when Angela Rye showed us that she is a boule key holder, because this reaction was uncalled for. These are the Negroes that stand by in the way of any black progress. They are happy with the status quo. And they go on to say here, Jill Stein, I will end the genocide in Gaza. I will give black people reparations. I will create multiple Black Wall Streets across the country. I will fight to end disproportionate police brutality against black people. And this is Angela Rye. Like, I'd never seen anything like this before in my life. I'm like, how can you be angry about that? You know why she was mad? Because it's better than what Kamala has. Because when you look at Jill Stein's website and you look at the platform, you see it's actually detailed and there's substance there. There's meat there. You look at Kamala's website, you look at her platform, you got 2 pieces of bread, but you ain't got no meat in between. Every now and then we got to have some meat. That's why she was mad. She know Kamala Harris is an empty suit. She knows it. I'm going to show you a couple more responses here. Again, Ados Tribe. Oh, is this the Kremlin one again? Yeah, I think I played that one already. Another comment here. I just watched the Jill Stein interview on The Breakfast Club, and damn, Angela Rye be shilling for the Democrats so bad, it's pathetic. You see, this got a lot of people's attention. Uppity African. Jill Stein went on The Breakfast Club, and it's telling to see how hostile Angela Rye is to the prospect of people exploring all electoral options. These tweets have a lot of views. Look at this. Over 308.3K views, over 3,000 likes. See, they exposed themselves. Reggie from Boston. I am truly wondering if we will look back after November and realize that it was Angela Rye's stunt that sank the Harris campaign. She came onto the Breakfast Club to take down Stein and Ware, but ended up proving why the American people deserve better than Harris and Trump. These are just facts. It is what it is. We can go on here. And this is another thing I was pointing out. The Breakfast Club was nicer to Nikki Haley than they were to Dr. Jill Stein. Let that sink in. The woman who told you that America wasn't a racist country, the warmonger, they were nicer to her than they were to Jill Stein, who had a black agenda. Because the Breakfast Club is there to preserve the status quo. They're not there to go for anything that's going to be outside of the norm or anything that's actually going to like give something to black people. Charlemagne the God just jumped on and said, yeah, I'll probably support Kamala Harris. She ain't got nothing for you. But that don't matter to him because he's rich. They don't care about these things. They're totally fine. But check out the comments. When you get a chance, look at the comments on the interview, please. I took 2 screenshots here. Come through Dr. Butch Ware. He is saying what needs to be said. I am voting for Dr. Stein and Dr. Ware, and I'm happy to do so. I pray others will come. Listen to this guy, Jonathan. That ain't it, Angela. So much love for Butch Ware and Jill Stein for coming on and speaking the truth. Their anger and attitude towards Dr. Stein is so confusing. I really hope they take the time to re-educate themselves on who they're voting for, especially Angela. Guys, I'm telling you, when you look at the comments on the video, most of the comments are negative towards Angela. So you don't believe me? Check the comments. Their own audience is telling them off. I am pleased to see that 99.9% of these comments I've read are strongly supportive of Stein Ware. People are seeing the truth here. And then this one here, I think, do you see how uncomfortable and terrified they are to abandon this two-party system? Fear. It was very sad. Very, very sad. And then there's one more that I do want to show you that I forgot to go to. I'm sorry. There was another one that Butch said where he was talking about imperialism, and he said, you can't fearmonger me. Let me bring that one up too as well. Just pull that up here. It's on my page. Because I think that one, that might have been the first one that I posted on Twitter that it really took off. This one. Yeah. This is the one that got a lot of attention. So it got over 9,000 likes, which is good for me on Twitter. Whether you vote for Team Red or Team Blue, militarized fascism wins. I want you to hear what they say here. Listen to this.
Team Red might be speeding us towards a kind of societal collapse, right? And
fascism.
Exactly. But, right. No. But the thing is that the truth of the matter is that imperialism and fascism are two sides of the same coin. One is the side that faces outwards, and the other is the side that faces inward. And I made a social media post before I got brought onto the team that said it this way: is that whether you vote Team Red or Team Blue, militarized fascism wins. Because the AIPAC and the weapons manufacturers are patrons of both networks. And just to return to that point, right? I've been on campuses. I organized a Palestinian Liberation Concert on October 21st. I organized a Black and Palestinian Solidarity panel at my local mosque on October 11th, 4 days after. Wow. Like, your brother was not backing down. And the Zionists came for my job within the month, okay? And, you know, a Negro is still standing. So, but the point of all that is just to say that when we launched this campaign to try to actually bring people into this conversation, you see that this is actually where the American people stand. The American people do not want this forever war, and they do not want militarized fascists coming to their campuses to crack kids' heads open. I had to stand out in front of the encampment, and that's Democratic governor in California. That's Democrat, mayors in places like New York City. It's Democrats that are running cop cities. So the thing is, bro, fascism is already here. It's just that one of it is like fascism, and the other is fascism. But the truth is that the purple fascists, the purple imperialists, Team Red and Team Blue, are run by the same funders, and who funds you runs you. So there's a discourse about putting off fascism, but the reality is that fascism was already here because we already can't speak freely. We already have people, university presidents, losing their job under democratic regimes. We already have kids that are lining up for peaceful protests, having their heads knocked open, or you have the cops standing to the side at UCLA so the thugs can knock kids' heads open. So I'm sorry, the fear mongering ain't gonna work on me.
Yeah. So he really schooled them there. He really schooled them because they tried to fearmonger him about, oh, but Trump bad and that type of thing. And so he knew his stuff. And you saw the look on Angela's face. She was very pissed. Like I said, she was brought in there to try to take them down, right? And if that wasn't enough, of course, AOC had to jump in. Now, remember, AOC attacked Jill Stein first. Last time we had this other discussion when AOC was attacking Jill Stein on Instagram. Now she comes back again, because she says nobody needs talking points to know Jill Stein hasn't won so much as a bingo game in the last decade. And if you actually give a damn about people, you organize, build power and infrastructure, and win. I'll play the clip in just a second. Let me tell you something. AOC, she has become very cocky and she's developed a large ego. And I would highly encourage anyone who lives in her district to run against her and to beat her, because her ego needs to be broken. She needs to lose. AOC needs to lose, break her ego, because she has become very cocky and condescending. And that project should have never happened. Everybody understand? This project that we pushed to get people like her in, I want to remind you, it was Green Party people who helped AOC. She's saying all this stuff about the Green Party now, but they helped her. They helped her get to where she is. So she's referring to this comment here that Jill made right here.
And it is the talking point of AOC the other day, who is taking her marching orders from the DNC. This is exactly what they say, that we are only running for president.
Of color as parroting talking points instead of.
See what Angela Rye is doing? She's trying to do the identity politics, right?
Talking point of AOC the other day, who is taking her marching orders from the DNC. This is exactly what they say, that we are only running for president.
Of color as parroting talking points instead of us looking at basic math. The one thing that AOC has done that you haven't is win some elections.
And it is the
So first of all, again, you cannot make that comparison. AOC ran for Congress. Jill Stein ran for president. AOC has not run for president. 2, there is a difference between running in a party that is funded by Wall Street and the military industrial complex and running in a party that is fully grassroots. People have to understand that. AOC knows that. She's being a bitch on purpose. Angela Rye knows this as well. Again, don't forget, this woman worked with the Congressional Black Caucus. She came straight from Capitol Hill. Don't forget that. Then you'll understand why she talks the way that she does. Oh, and another thing, Angela, let me make this very clear. This whole, you can't criticize a woman of color because they're a woman of color. Try that with me. Because you might be able to say that stuff to Jill, but you can't say it with me. You can miss me with that whole woman of color bullshit. This is what I mean about the identity politics. And listen, I stand by my people. I fight for my people. And I talk about racial issues on this show and in activism and organizing. But people like Angela, they want to use it as a shield so that nobody can criticize her DNC and her Democrat darlings because they are people of color. So you can miss me with all that, Angela. Miss me with all of that. Black face in high place. frowned upon reparations, smeared people about reparations. Get out of here. So AOC went on to say that, and by the way, if you look at her comments, she's getting roasted by a lot of people. A lot of people. So my response to this was, AOC, if you want to build an alternative party that's not status quo, stop talking and get to work. You have a massive platform. Why aren't you using your platform to build that alternative? Looks like you're the one that is not serious. See, this is the problem with AOC. She wants to point her finger at people and say, you're not doing it right. You're not organizing the way that you're supposed to actually build power. But you know what real activists and organizers do, AOC? When they see that someone is not doing something in a way that they feel would be most beneficial or helpful, a real activist, someone who actually gives a damn, they extend their hand and they offer to help. A bougie, classist, snob like yourself, what you have become, will sit back in a chair and point out what you see is wrong, but you will not offer to help. Now, you guys need to ask yourself a question. Do you want someone that is going to offer to help you? Or do you want someone who's just going to sit in a chair and point fingers and talk about your goddamn mistakes? The cockiness, the ego of this woman. Then she did this. This is a person running for president who doesn't even know how many U.S. representatives there are. If we want to be real about building alternatives to the status quo, we must build a left that is serious, powerful, and persuasive. This is not that. So we're going to play this clip here in just a second. But notice how she is not willing to initiate this. She's not willing to build anything. She's not willing to tell you how to do it. Now, this is what I call gatekeeping. The gatekeepers who, well, I know what we should do, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it. That's not organizing. That's not community. That's not unity. That's not solidarity. That's you looking out for your damn self. That's what that is. Now, this is the part that she's talking about here, and people have criticisms about it, but I'm going to show you how AOC is in a glass house and shouldn't throw stones.
How many voting members in the United States House of Representatives, Republican, Democrat, and Independent? How many total?
How many total
Yes.
are there? What is it? 600 some?
No,
You know,
it's 435. How many voting members in the United States House of Representatives, Republican, Democrat, and Independent? How many total?
how many total
Yes.
are there? What is it? 600 some?
No,
You know,
it's 435.
So a couple of things I want to point out. They're talking about the number of House representatives, right? So I think Jill said 600 and some people are like 535. People came up with different numbers, by the way. I'm seeing them even in the chat. It's 538, 535. And I'm pointing this out not to call you guys out, but to prove a point. For AOC to criticize her about this, it's one thing to not have a number exactly correct. But the reality is, most people don't know that. Most people don't know the answer to that. And I've seen a number of people online saying, oh my God, how does she not know that? I can pick up the phone right now and text all of my friends, and I bet you most of them don't know. Most people don't know. Most people are not paying attention. So most people are not into politics to this extent that we all are. So there's that. Now, some people can say, well, Jill's running for president, so she should know that or whatever. Okay, it is what it is. But the reality is that really something you need to focus on? Or do you need to focus on her policies? So here is Angela asking her about the number of House representatives instead of focusing on the platform and the policies that Jill was talking about to her. When she talked about policy, Angela wanted to try to cut her off every time. And another thing, for the people that are saying, oh, Angela knows, Angela has a computer right in front of her, which she looked at throughout the interview. So you don't know if Angela actually knew that either, if she didn't look it up first. But what's funny is about living in a glass house and throwing these damn stones. Because AOC seems to forget, and you know Z Squirrel, don't mess with Z Squirrel. This account finds every damn thing, so you better not piss off Z Squirrel. I'm telling you right now. Z Squirrel seemed to find a video where AOC apparently didn't know what the 3 branches of government was. And she was in Congress. Here's you, a sitting member of Congress, being unaware of how many chambers Congress has and what the 3 branches of government are: judicial, executive, legislative. Listen to this.
Is that should we, and if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all 3 chambers of Congress, all 3 chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020. Is that should we, and if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all 3 chambers of Congress, all 3 chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.
Now you tell me what's more damning. Someone who is in Congress who doesn't know the 3 branches of government, or someone that's running for president and got the number wrong of the number of House representatives? Glass house, throwing stones. Now, Brianna Joy Gray, everybody is coming after AOC, by the way. I know some of you are not on Twitter, but Brianna Joy Gray said something interesting here. She said, AOC won't bring a fraction of the ire she has for Jill Stein to Kamala Harris or the rest of the genocidal Democrats. Jill is a genuine left candidate who shares AOC's ostensible values, but AOC will punch left to carry water for a candidate who won't even fight for 15. Pathetic. Isn't that sad? Crazy, isn't it? Why doesn't she have all that smoke? Why she ain't got all that smoke for Kamala Harris? Ronnie Acallick also came after AOC. Your party is carrying out a genocide that Jill Stein rightly opposes. Your word salad about infrastructure and organizing won't change that. Such a disappointment. Wow. And Ronnie is not usually the one to, but everybody, I saw it all. Max Blumenthal, Anya, Aaron, like the Gray Zone peeps, I saw them. I mean, I saw like people think it was just Green Party people or Jill Stein supporters going after it. No, it was not just them. Eric, can we go to the next part? So I wanted people to see that because, Eric, can we go to part 3? Thanks. I wanted people to see that because I want you to see what's happening. And then I'm going to show you these numbers. I'm going to show you why it's happening. Because the reality is that AOC apparently must have tapped other people on the shoulder and told them to go after Jill Stein too. And one of the people that went after her is the young woman, Representative Ruwa Rahman. This is the young woman that was not allowed to speak on the DNC stage. She was the Palestinian American woman that wrote her speech. It was already vetted and approved. And at the last minute, they said, you cannot speak on the stage after they allowed the Israeli family to speak on the stage. So here she comes attacking Jill Stein. And I got some words. I told you how I felt about that uncommitted movement, more so the leaders, because everybody in the movement doesn't feel the way that the leaders of the movement feel. So here she come in. This is so vile in so many ways. AOC was one of the first to call that what's happening in Gaza a genocide. And AOC, like so many of us, understand the serious threat of a second Trump term. No one would be talking about Stein negatively if she focused her efforts in safe states. So I got something to say about that. She's responding to Jill Stein responded to AOC. She said, well, AOC, you supporting genocide was not on my bingo card, but the Democrats have a way of changing people who say they're going to change the party from the inside. And Jill was right about that, right? So this woman here, peep this, fam. This woman, Rua, she's the one that they would not allow speak on the DNC stage. And she is coming to the defense of AOC. So let me point out something, fam. First of all, did you guys know that she's a representative in the Georgia State House? She's a Democrat representative in the Georgia State House. She is a politician. So when you think about that uncommitted movement, there were people that were leading the movement. One of them was Abbas was a DNC delegate. This young woman was a Georgia Democrat politician in the State House. And then you also had Rashida Tlaib's sister that was also a part of the leadership. That's why I told you that this movement was never serious about being uncommitted. What do you mean? The Democratic Party killing all your people. Oh, I'm just going to be uncommitted through the primary. And I want you to focus on something she said here. No one would be talking about Stein negatively if she'd focus her efforts in safe states. She told on herself. She told on herself. Because when she tells you that Jill Stein should have focused her effort in the safe states, that lets you know right there that the uncommitted movement was always going to support the Democratic Party. Everybody get this? What do you mean, only the safe states? She told on herself. That uncommitted movement, the leadership had decided apparently they were never truly going to be uncommitted. That's why they don't want Jill on the ballot in the swing states. Because if you were truly uncommitted, boo, it wouldn't matter to you that Jill is on in those swing states. But you were always going to support the Democratic Party, period. See, I ain't got time for it, fam. I ain't got time for it. And then another thing here that she put, oh my God. Didn't she say something about Trump's going to kill the people more? She is a mess. She is such a mess. I saw this woman like cry. I saw this woman crying on TV shows and saying they wouldn't let me speak and all this stuff. I'm telling you, don't be surprised if some of these people that were leaders of the uncommitted movement, don't be surprised if they were offered something. Because you ain't fooling me. Crazy, ain't it? But why are they doing this? You know, Jill Stein had some really good news. Really good news. Here's one of the pieces of good news. Here's Jill Stein, honored to be asked to speak at the National Arab American Convention in Dearborn, Michigan. It is truly inspiring to see the courage of Arab Americans who are standing up to stop genocide and lead the way to an America and a world that works for us. That's huge. The National Arab American Convention in Dearborn, Michigan. They didn't invite everybody. Everybody see this? And then I got something else, and we're going to dance for this for a second. We got a lot of good things to show. We're going to dance for a second. Because you see, because Angela showed her ass and because she had a bad experience with ADOS organization, you know, that Breakfast Club interview was trending. Clips of it were trending on Twitter, and it made its way around to ADOS members. And they saw some of these clips and they were like, hold up. This woman again? Angela Rye? The next thing you know, Jill Stein's message starts to spread to more people. So thank you, Angela, for acting like an ass. Thank you, AOC, for running your damn mouth. You're giving Jill Stein more promotion. You're giving her more attention. So much to the point where this came in from Yvette Carnell. And this really just knocked me out. Crazy how Dr. Jill Stein's interview on The Breakfast Club has Democrats unraveling. Would love to see her come to the ADOS Reparations Summit next month. The Green Party pro-reparation stance is something we should hear more about. Fam, let's go. Let's go. Hey. What? Bam. That's what I'm talking about. We had to play the music. We had to play it because look what happened. There's more good news. Oh, we're not done yet. There's more good news. Peep this. They tried so hard to kick Jill Stein off the ballot in Nevada. And because they did that, they purposely gave them incorrect paperwork, right? Because they did that, look what's happening now. The Democrats are dumb. Jill Stein is trying to take the Nevada ballot case to the U.S. Supreme Court. It appears SCOTUS may take the case. The Democratic Party messed up. Let's go. Let's go. Hey. Supreme Court in the house. Supreme Court in the house. Let's go. We got to stop the music now. I'm sorry. But I told you we're going to have a little bit of fun tonight. You see what happens when people try to do bad? Jill had shared this. We're taking the fight for democracy to the U.S. Supreme Court. They already presented this in the lower court, so that would be the next step. And here's the other thing. Because it is a conservative Supreme Court, I don't think they were, because it's a conservative Supreme Court, I don't think they're going to try to help out the Democratic Party. I don't think they're going to try to help out the Democratic Party. I don't think so. I'm just saying. Yeah, so there's that. And then there's a very big special announcement for Jill Stein's campaign. This is freaking huge, and you got to hear this for yourself. Don't worry, we'll bring the music back. Let's go.
Good afternoon, honorable leaders, distinguished guests, and fellow community members. I stand before you today on behalf of the Muslim American Public Affairs Council, a proud and unwavering voice of the Muslim American community in the political sphere. Our mission is to ensure that our voices are not only heard, but respected. Our concerns are not only raised, but addressed. And our values are not only represented, but reflected in the policies that shape our nation. We have long sought meaningful engagement with all political parties, assessing candidates not by their words, but their actions. We ask one critical question. Do they really listen to the Muslim community? Do they understand our struggle and invite us to actively shape our decisions, the country's decisions that affect us? Unfortunately, both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have shown us that they do not. During Democratic National Convention, despite our considered efforts and rallying cries of many, our voices were silenced. Muslim and Arab leaders were ignored as well, we thought, to address the atrocities in Palestine. The majority of Americans, including many within the Democratic base, demand an end to Israeli war on Gaza, a halt to the flow of American weapons used to commit unspeakable acts, and accountability for those who perpetuate those horrors. Yet, Harris, through her actions, has made it clear that she will continue the policies of the current administration, offering unwavering support to Israel while turning a blind eye to the oppression of the Palestinian people. In contrast, Dr. Jill Stein represents leadership that our community has long sought. She has not only spoken for Palestinian rights, but she has traveled this nation to amplify our voices, to stand shoulder to shoulder with us, and to include us in her vision for a just and equitable future. Dr. Stein's commitment is clear. She has appointed a Muslim running mate, Professor Butch Ware, and has dedicated her campaign to fighting the genocide funded by American tax dollars. Her genuine care for our community was evident when she spent hours with us, listening, engaging, and offering solutions grounded in justice and humanity. The American people, by vast majorities, oppose using tax dollars to fund wars, to prop up unjust regimes, and ignore the cries of the oppressed. There is a hunger in this country for reform, reform that Dr. Stein and her campaign represent. While we may not agree with every point in her platform, we recognize her as the most courageous and effective advocate for real change in both foreign policy and domestic reforms in this race. MAPAC stands firmly for the Muslim values of justice and integrity. Today, we declare our intent to position the Muslim community at the heart of the national movement to challenge a two-party system that has failed on so many fronts and so many Americans. North Carolina, as a pivotal swing state, is now the first to stand up and demand change. We hope that our leadership here will inspire other swing states to follow us. Let this be the spark that ignites a movement across our nation. Together, we will move mountains. Let it be known to all parties, to all political parties, paying lip service to our community will no longer suffice. The time for genuine engagement is now, and ignoring our voice will only cost you our support. Dr. Jill Stein and Professor Butch Ware, MAPAC proudly endorses your campaign. We stand ready to work alongside you to ensure that the Muslim community, especially in the critical state of North Carolina, rallies behind your movement for justice, peace, and truly democratic America. Let us build this movement state by state, and together we will shape the future. This endorsement is only for the presidential candidate, while remaining firm in our search for candidates on the local races, regardless of party affiliation, who stand for the investment of taxpayers' money to lift up their communities in the great state of North Carolina. The endorsement of congressional, state, and local races will be released in mid-October.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the Muslim American Public Affairs Council endorsed Jill Stein. This is historic. She's a third-party candidate. I would assume typically this would go towards the Democrat candidate. You see why they panicking? You see why Angela Rye is mad? You see why AOC is coming after Jill Stein? You see why they doing this? The Muslim American Public Affairs Council has just endorsed Jill Stein. Let's go! Hey! All right, guys, some good news. And now I have those numbers for you. This was just sent to me right before I went live. I want to show you why they're freaking out. Wait till you see these numbers. This shit is wild.
The arc of the universe is long, but it...
Oh, sorry. I think it was still playing. This came from Move On. Again, it was sent to me. See, it says friends, allies, and interested parties. So it wasn't sent from Move On to me, but someone that was apparently in this interested party part sent it to me. So I'm not giving out people's names, but look at this. We helped push out RFK Jr., but third party threats remain. Let's get to the numbers. I'm going to show you. These are the internal numbers they don't want you to see. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. The remaining threats. Stein's vote total alone is enough to flip Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. See, this is what they don't want you to see. These mofos wilding out on Jill Stein. And this is why. I'm going to show you. See the numbers. Right now, the projected third-party vote share based on polling averages in the battlegrounds accounts for the full 2020 margin of victory in 4 crucial battleground states, right? So they're comparing 2020 to 2024. Peep this, fam. Projected third-party vote share in 2020. In Arizona, they're saying 6,775 votes. In Georgia, 84,999 votes. We're just going to round off up in this piece. 85,000. Michigan, 420,987 votes. Nevada, 11,243 votes. North Carolina, 265,000 votes. Pennsylvania, 41,000. Wisconsin, 214,000 votes. That is what is projected for the third party votes for 2024 in those swing states. This is why they're attacking Jill Stein. Now, when you look at all these CNN polls, all the Fox News polls, all the polls that I continue to show you on the show, they never show you this poll. And this is what I was trying to tell you. They saw the internal polls. Jill and them saw the internal polls. Kamala saw the internal polls. And I'm pretty sure Donald Trump saw those internal polls. That's why they freaking out. What's up, Notori? Should we do call in? I don't know. Eric, you think we should do it? Maybe we can have a short one. I feel like you should have a celebratory call in. What do you guys think? I don't know. Yeah, they done make right, Edward. And now Nevada, they may go to the U.S. Supreme Court. Like, these people are stupid. You should have just left Jill Stein on the ballot in Nevada. Like, that didn't make no sense to me. What's that, Roger? Oh, Roger said, yes, yeah. You guys see this, fam? Oh, and I can make this a little bit bigger for you on call-in too, but let me pop my big head back here. And then you can just see, this is huge. That is what they are projecting. Notice how much bigger this is in 2024 when you compare it to the third party, to the Biden 2020 state margin of victory for 2020. Everybody, this is why they're freaking out. Okay, Eric said we can do it. Thank you. Thankies. So, I don't know what to tell you guys. But I don't understand why you're still mad, AOC, because weren't you complaining to Jill Stein that the party needs to grow, that we should be building that party? It should be growing. It looks like that's happening. Isn't that what you wanted? Didn't you advise AOC, Jill Stein, that she should grow the party and she needs to be organizing? Well, it looks like that's what's happening. So you got your wish. She got the wish. I don't understand what the problem is. Let's go to the poll. Go to the poll. Go to the poll. Thank you for the poll results, fam. Why is AOC attacking Jill Stein again? 16% of you said Dems told her to. 6% said Jill is gaining Muslim support. 8% of you said AOC is trying to help Kamala. And 70% of you said all of the above. Wow. Yeah, 2,265 votes there. Thank you so much. But I'm super pumped, you guys. Listen, I don't want to hear nobody complaining saying Jill Stein didn't try to grow the party or you guys don't get a higher percentage and all that. I don't want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear it because you see what's happening right now. The party is growing. You can see the percentages are growing. So that's what you guys wanted. That's what you got. Okay.